The man of the moment whom I'm going to have conversation is none other than Mr. Sudhir Sekhri. Mr. Sudhir is Chairman Export Promotion Committee, Apparel Export Promotion Council of India, fondly known as AEPC over here in India, since 2012. And he has been associated with AEPC for now grand 25 years. Yes, you heard it right. He is also chairman and MD of a very well known export house out of India named Trendsetters Group. With a demonstrated history of working in the global apparel retail industry, he is an absolute expert in global sourcing, retail, strategic planning, and business development. Mr. Sekhri, if you wish, sir, you could also give a brief preface on AEPC. Here we go. Stage is yours. If you wish to put in some light on AEPC, you could throw it. Then I'll shoot my question, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Salil. Thank you for inviting me to this webinar on fashion sourcing and trends during these challenging times.
Thank you
And
so much, sir.
I'd like to wish good afternoon to all the speakers who are participating in this webinar. Yes, these have been very challenging and difficult times for the entire business community, be it engineering or retail or whatever you may call it. The entire business has been seen a very major catastrophe, I would say. But I would say, in spite of all this, I don't think one needs to be disheartened, because with every adversity, every adversity brings new opportunities and opens new doors. So I would say that yes, even though times have been tough, but we can definitely see light at the end of the tunnel, and uh, the opportunities would be much larger than they were during the pre-pandemic days. Having said that, now I would introduce myself. Like Mr. Salil just said, yes, I have been associated with AEPC as an executive committee member for the last 25 years. And many of these years have also been a chairman of the Export Promotion Committee of AEPC. AEPC, if for those who do not know much about AEPC, AEPC um, has 7,000 members, garment manufacturers as its members, and its primary role is to guide and facilitate apparel exporters to showcase their best products in the domestic as well as the international market. And towards this end, we do hold several buyer seller meets and international, and we participate in international fairs around the year. Of course, these last 14 months have been there have been no physical fairs, and that is why we've set up our own digital platform, a virtual platform, through which we have been introducing our members and have been inviting buyers to the virtual platform. We've also had the occasion of having a hybrid exhibition where we have in Tokyo, where our exporter members, they sent garments to Tokyo, and the organizer in Tokyo, they set up a show in a hall with booths which they have like in a virtual show. Instead, that there were no exhibitors as such, but the buyers were allowed to come in small numbers, uh, uh, in line with in compliance with the pandemic requirements. And so it was a hybrid show, because buyers were able to buyers were able to um, uh, communicate with sellers on a live basis. So that is one of the, I would say, one of the roles of AEPC. The other is, of course, AEPC believes in enhancing value-driven exports through supply-side and demand-side interventions in all the apparel clusters. We AEPC is also engaged in training of workforce and supplying a steady stream of manpower to the industry by taking advantage of the various skilling schemes introduced by the government of India. We also are responsible, or we are also engaged in identifying opportunities for collaborations with overseas partners for upscaling and technology upgradation. That is something which is the need of the hour. And I think after post-pandemic, this is where I think India and Indian government very will very strongly promote itself. We will also, AAPC also provides market intelligence and policy advocacy for textile and the apparel industry. So in a nutshell, this is the role of AAPC.
Thanks a ton for putting it in perspective and throwing a great light by envisioning us, about AEPC, the nodal agency out of India for the global citizens, those who are tuned in, for this webinar across the time zone. Before I field my first question, I like the very loud message which you have sent. Two things very clearly. Thing number one, there always lies an opportunity in every crisis. And second, there is a great light at the end of the tunnel. I have paraphrased it, sorry, sir, by using the word great also. So now I will field my first question, Mr. Shekri. How strongly and strategically is India placed for exports in textile and apparel? And that too, in the light of putting the spotlight on Italy and Europe, which is our major trade destination, so-called EU. Kindly throw light there.
Sure. Well, you see, specifically in general, first let me talk generally in general terms, and then I'll talk specifically about Italy. Well, see, India's commitment, Indian government's commitment for the apparel sector definitely is very important for the apparel sector, and the policy support that the government provides through EPCG schemes and the ATUP scheme, which is called the Technology Upgradation Fund, that has helped our Indian industry to really upgrade ourselves. And of course, there is a lot of scope for further upgradation, but the government continues to support the industry. Besides that, of course, you would know that exports out of India are zero tax exports. So, which means all customs duties and taxes are refunded through various schemes. I think, does this answer your question, or you have?
Yeah, yes. Still, if you wish to, because the second part is, I'm sorry to say, unanswered, wherein we wanted you to throw light on Italy and Europe.
Yes.
As an important trade destination for India.
Okay. Yeah. For that, I will have to give you a few statistics, of our exports to Europe. Of course, one, I must say that as far as India is concerned, we are the largest global producer of cotton and the second largest producer of polyester and viscose. And therefore, there is abundant availability of natural and man-made fibers as well. As far as India's exports to the world is concerned, well, we are definitely lagging far behind, and India's share is just in textile and clothing both is just 4.4% of the total global exports, global imports. Now, but when it comes to Europe, even though India's exports to India's share of export to the USA is about 26.9%, but if you see Europe, include UK in it, then it is about 27.8%. So, which means that today, without removing UK from Europe, we were almost at par with USA. The exports to Europe were almost at par. However, the exports to Italy is just about 2.2% of the total exports. which is a very small figure. And unfortunately, our exports to Italy have actually dwindled in the last few years. And of course, Italy's dependence on China has grown, but with with after the pandemic, I think there will be definitely going to be a change in the situation, because China is definitely getting more and more expensive. Now, just to see in the perspective of India's exports to Italy, apparel is definitely today the largest category uh, of exports to Italy from India, with a share of 46% in India's total textile and apparel exports to Italy. This is followed by cotton and man-made textiles, having a share of 20% and 18% respectively. Now, India's apparel exports to Italy has stagnated, like I said, over the past few years, or perhaps have come down a little bit. And for this, of course, we have a little bit ourselves to blame, I would say, because perhaps we have not grown in technology as fast as we would have loved to grow. Apart from this, the category of uh, man-made textiles is one which offers a huge potential for India to increase the share in Italy. And somehow our industry, the back-end industry, uh, be it weaving, be it spinning or weaving or processing of man-made fabrics, India has been lagging in that area. However, the government of India, with its latest production-linked incentive schemes, has definitely allocated a huge sum of monies for the apparel and textile sector, for not only for upgradation, but also for increasing capacities in the areas of MMF textiles. Uh, the government has come up with not only production-linked incentive schemes, but also with certain schemes of setting up mega textile parks in various clusters in India, and that should encourage the Italian manufacturers, because from what I know about Italy, they have a huge and very modern textile fabric manufacturing and spinning setup, but the cost of production in Italy is going higher and higher with passing time. And I think with the opening up of the FDI sector, opening up of FDI for textiles and garmenting to overseas buyers, this could be a great opportunity for the Italian manufacturers to disinvest in their own country and move the machinery and equipment and technology to India and take advantage of the new production-linked incentives scheme and the mega park scheme that the government has come up with.
Sir, you have beautifully summarized it and hit on the nail. I must compliment, especially the very topical issue of this PLI. So my request is, as a sub question on this, before I move to next structured question, two things. One, globe is now, India is in the sweet spot because anti-China sentiment is on the rise. It is growing. It is a very well known fact. Second is China plus one, which exactly is not played out in textile, but generally China plus one is becoming now global policy which every single serious country is trying to pursue. Point number three, you said PLI, which is a brilliant this. So what kind of impact do you see in the short to mid-term in general and in particular to the Europe market?
Yeah, Mr. Salil, first of all, I would not ride on the anti-China sentiment,
Okay.
because that is a negative approach. I would rather go with positivity and see what are the big things, that advantages that India would have, and what are the opportunities that India have out of the problems, out of, I would say, the difficulties that China is facing. But I will not go with the anti-China sentiment, because anti-China sentiment alone will not take India where it wants to go. India has to be positive, and India has to, like I said, invest in infrastructure, invest in upgradation of technologies, invest in processing, because that is a huge gap that we have. So that is how we should see it positively. And I think like I said earlier, PLI, the product linked incentive scheme, and the mega park scheme, all these are in the positive, going to take India in the positive direction. And this is where the opportunity lies.
Thank you very much. Now, any specific policy or agreement that India has with Europe to promote exports, particularly in the absence of full-on FTA, which is not there. So, is there at the level of association to association, or at the level of this, wherein some kind of trade to trade within textile, can it be worked out if the overall full-on is not working out?
Well, you see, I think we've been struggling with this question for the last decade or so, or perhaps a little more. And somehow we have not really, we and the European Union, India and the European Union have not come to an agreement as such. But I think uh, what I believe now with the present government, yes, the first 5 years of the government, they were a little hesitant to go uh, all out for FTAs because of the bad experience it had in the FTAs it had signed prior to 2014 with various countries. Because what we saw was that there was more of imports into India and less of exports. There was hardly any increase in exports. So the experience of the government of India with the previous FTAs was not very good, and that is why FTAs was actually, for the first 5 years of the present government, it was put on the back burner. But now the government has realized that it is time for us to bring it back to the front, and very serious discussions have started with the different players, and of course, you see, with Brexit happening, now we have an opportunity, a very good opportunity in the UK, which is very open to discussions in a I would say very congenial manner, and so is European Union. So I think, uh, unfortunately, even though there is no present scheme or I would say arrangement wherein, except for the GSP, where we have a slight advantage, a slight benefit of exports out of some of the products out of India, but we definitely cannot offset the duty-free status that some of our competitors like Bangladesh and Vietnam are enjoying in the EU. And that's a huge difference. 9.6% is the difference. And I mean, how do you, I mean, irrespective of how much of efficiency we bring into our industry, I don't think we can bridge this 9.6%. So it is definitely, I mean, the need of the hour is an FTA or some kind of a comprehensive agreement with the EU and UK, and that will ride us to the next phase of our expansion program.
I will just like to topically. I read in last couple of days only, that Bangladesh, the way their economy has grown in the pandemic post world, shortly it will be out of. They will be robbed of their that LDC, least developed country, which would mean that most of it has MFN status with over 43 countries where they are enjoying that duty free. So do you think that India in the competition place, the moment they are out of LDC, will stand to gain?
See, the reality is that Bangladesh have, of course, taken advantage of the government liberal policy, the government of Bangladesh. But the truth of the fact of the matter is that they have hardly any processing units. They hardly have any spinning or weaving worth the name. So that is where, in spite of India still being far behind Europe in technology, but it is far ahead of Bangladesh in this area. So I would say, once the big advantage that Bangladesh has over in terms of the duty-free status that it has. Once that goes away, or that is, I would say, nullified with India signing up or Bangladesh going out. I mean, either way, I mean, once that is nullified and we have a level playing field, there is definitely India is going to really go galloping, because not only because India has the manpower, India has the educated English speaking population who understand the requirements of the Europeans and the Britishers much more than perhaps other countries.
Thank you, sir. So we move to next question. As the world takes more and more notice of the effects on both environment and human resources, what is the perspective regarding sustainability side of the business and how strongly the ecosystem is coming up in India? Especially sustainability is the key to export to Europe, where the pull has started coming from the consumer side, So now it is no more a choice, it is perhaps becoming business imperative. Please give
Yes,
your thoughts.
absolutely. There is no doubt that sustainability and eco-friendly environment is a definite must today for all industries, be it garmenting or be it processing or be it any other industry for that matter. And to that extent, our government has been very severe. I will concede that maybe a decade ago the government was shutting their eyes to closing their eyes to many wrong things, but not today. Today the government is very conscious of the environment, and our honorable Prime Minister has been very active in very actively and I would say positively participating in various international symposiums and seminars on this very subject. So I would say that sustainability, and today many more, you will find that many more fabric manufacturers are looking towards organic cotton, recycled polyesters, and this industry is really gaining momentum in India. And I do not see time as, in fact, I would also like to say that one of my buyers, they have, I won't name them, but they have said that by 2025, they want only sustainable garments to be, they will only sustain, and they have an international presence. And definitely, when they say this, I think we have to listen to it.
And how well is and how vehemently is AEPC trying to create a strong pitch around this sustainability when the sourcing comes out of India, what we call anchoring at sustainability?
Well, see, AEPC definitely has a role uh, in say, I would say, educating their members of the necessity. But actually, like most of the Asian manufacturers, what they need is a little stick from the law, and that is what that is what is necessary. And here the government has become very serious about it, and we all exporters, including myself, we are conscious of the fact that if we have to remain in this business, we have to be sustainable.
Thank you. So question next is, are Indian companies adapting to the new age technology? Case in point is Industry 4 standards. Is there government support for companies to invest in these new technologies first? Sub part is that today digitalization is become real. So how crucial and important is it?
Well, you see, as far as industrialization is concerned, I've already mentioned you about the PLI scheme and the mega parks and the technological upgradation fund. So these are some of the schemes that the government, tough has been an old scheme, and it has helped a lot of exporters in upgrading. But these PLI and the mega park schemes are relatively new, and they can be, there is a gestation period of 2 years. And I think manufacturers and overseas also can take advantage of that. Now, coming to the second part of your question, which was, please say it again. What?
One is industry for standards compliance, and second is digitalization.
Digitalization. Okay, yeah. Now, you see, digitalization again. We, because of the pandemic, because of the situation that we were in, there was, like I said, uh, for every adversity brings in new opportunities, and that's how it started. And APC has taken the initiative and set up its own digital platform. But besides that, what has, I've heard one of your designers speaking in the previous discussion, and that is about 3D digitization. That is something which is very, very important today. And we have been APC, we are trying to introduce this. There are, of course, the software is a little expensive today, 3D designer software, but I think if the demand goes up, if there are more of demand, then obviously the software designers, the 3D designers will bring down their prices so that become, obviously it's obviously a question of scale. I think they'll be able to bring down their prices, and then you will see a real mushrooming growth in digital technology, especially in the area of design and development.
Thank you. Next question is, in recent years, you have seen a move towards some reshoring, bringing manufacturing and production back to countries, or nearshoring. Are you started to see this kind of effect on Indian textile sector exports getting impacted out of this new phenomenon?
Well, you see, it has not, to be very honest, it has not really shown yet, but there is no reason that it will not happen. It is definitely going to happen with the new schemes that the government has brought, and the real reason for bringing out these schemes. In fact, if the PLI scheme was first introduced in the electronic sector, and you have seen a whole lot of electronic companies like Apple, for instance, they have set up facilities in India. So that is going to happen. That is inevitable. It started with electronic. It started with pharmaceutical. Whole lot of pharmaceutical companies are setting up base in India, and now they have gone into garments and textiles. So I do not see any reason why. After all, people overseas are also business people. I mean, if they see an opportunity to make money and really set their foot in a country as huge and humongous as India, where there are the opportunities are humongous, not only for the export, but also for domestic. I mean, I would be a bad businessman if I don't see this opportunity and jump at it.
Thank you. Is India concentrating on new or emerging markets, so-called non-conventional markets, away from both conventional in terms of the market access, as well as non-conventional in terms of out of the basket products? Because I'm sorry to say, India has a very limited. We are only excelling in the summer, that to low end. While it comes to winter, when it comes to MMF, while it comes to structured engineered garments, innerwear, India is hardly there. So my request is you throw some light on this, that how important is this kind of diversification, to add stability to the trade and to our exports basket.
You're absolutely right. Today, if the world buys 70% man-made fabric and 30% cotton, India exports is the other way around. We export 36% cotton, 36% man-made, or perhaps something closer to that, and the other is all cotton. So then, obviously, there is a total. We are skewed totally off what the world demand is, and I'm sorry I did not mention that this PLI scheme is actually there to encourage man-made fabric, MMF garments. And the scheme is because if you see the structure of the scheme, basically they were looking at a growth in MMF garments for you to be entitled to the benefits under the scheme. So yes, even though India's exports today are skewed towards cotton, but with the conversations having started on MMF, where the government as well as AEPC, we have held several rounds of discussions with our major players in the man-made sector, which is Reliance, who are the largest polyester yarn producer, and the Birlas, who are the largest viscose fabric producers. So we've had several rounds of discussions with them also, and they have really encouraged us to. They have been very, very positive, the discussions, and they have come on board with us to try to introduce this newer technologies to the downstream processing and weaving sector.
Yeah, before I come to the last question, I would like to underline, you made a very strong point here, because in word MMF is over 50%, maybe I think shy of 60%, while in the case of India, we are maybe 73% in cotton for the right reason, because it is a cotton growing country, and being a tropical country, perhaps we do not really understand the sensibilities of the winter and cold countries. But that being said, still there is a strong case to try and create the whole lot of ecosystem for this MMF. You very rightly said the government is now conscious; they are seized of the issue. Recent budget with that that dumping duty also was in the a right step in the right direction. But to my mind, of course, you are experts, sir. You will be able to throw more light. Very important is that paraphernalia within that, the know-how part, and above all, we have to clear the mental block, because out and out we are the cotton producer, cotton user, cotton manufacturer. Till the time that sanitization is not done, demystification is not done, I think it will remain an elusive target. Kindly throw your light, then I'll ask you the last question.
Yeah. See, you're right. You see, as far as our MMF industry is concerned, they today face a situation of that chicken and egg story, where you see they, even though the government has come up with, they introduced these new schemes for promotion, but the industry is still a little hesitant, because a consciousness, awareness amongst the buyers has to be created. A confidence amongst the buyers has to be created. India has the ability to, or the wherewithal to do to make these kind of fabrics which are presently not available in India. You know that we have already started speaking to several buying agencies who are representing large importers, retailers in the world, and they have, on all these buying agencies have also come on board with us in trying to convince the buyers to start sourcing their fabrics from India. But of course, like I said, it's going to take some time. The process has started, and we have already a whole lot of fabrics which presently the buyers are buying from either China or Korea or Taiwan. We have received those fabric swatches, and we have already started a dialogue with the Birlas and the Reliances, and we are working in that direction. But it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take a little time, but I would say we are going in the right direction today.
Thank you. So towards the end, I would request Mr. Sudhir, who is undoubtedly a true global citizen, if he wishes to leave any thoughts with the global apparel sourcing community, or has any quick message for the trade out of his rich global experience, or any quick anecdote to share while we are still in unprecedented global pandemic. If you have anything in last 10, 11 years, any reflection, any observation, you are free to share with us.
I'll just say one sentence, that India's time has come. And if you do not jump onto the bandwagon today, you're going to miss the bus.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sparing time out of your extremely busy schedule to grace